Hi Cancer, welcome to your end of, what month is this? July 2022 general tarot reading. It's Rena here. Okay, let me take these. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. The heart of the matter is the Two of Cups, and typically we see this card in romantic situations where it can be about commitment, it can be about reuniting with someone. So certainly that can either be on your mind or a possibility. Whenever there's a two in a tarot reading, there might be a choice that the person has to make. Do I trust this person who wants to get back together, for instance? And it's not always an easy choice because the person may just say, oh, I really want to get back together, but there's no evidence that anything has truly changed. And so that part of yourself that is, that has logic attached to it may be like, okay, but what has really changed? How can I believe this individual? In the past position, we have the Five of Swords. So that almost sounds to me like also workplace. For some people, maybe you're being asked to go back somewhere, or you're contemplating going back somewhere where you got laid off or something like that, and you are hesitating because you're like, well, how do I know I'm not going to get laid off again? And the Five of Swords can be that there were people around you, like coworkers, who you didn't trust, who you did suspect had something to do with you getting laid off. Or if you quit under duress because of those people. So it's like, it might feel flattering that they want you back. You might say they can't live without me. They can't function without me. But the truth can be, even if that's true, what about what happened? Is it just water under the bridge that they believed those people to begin with, or that they didn't have more concern for you in the first place? The higher message is the Four of Cups. Pay attention to your feelings. If you're feeling that you're not as enthused as you thought you would be, like for instance, somebody fantasizes about an ex calling them up and acting like they can't live without them, or that they can't stop thinking about them is more likely. It may feel flattering, but when somebody has been through a lot with someone and they're beginning to, I have the hiccups, they're beginning to recover, they might be a little bit reticent to believe that individual, especially if this is something that is habitual, where they call you and then they disappear again. It's like back and forth. And you finally have figured out this pattern, and you would love for it to be true that they are committed to you, but you have serious doubts about it. And I think that if you do have an on again, off again relationship with someone, you definitely should be wary of it, because first of all, there's an instability that you could say is attached to that type of relationship. Like there's not, you might, even if you aren't the one doing it, especially if you're not the one doing it, if the other person is kind of back and forth, and it's kind of almost like yanking your chain and trying to get that reaction out of you when you break up, and then coming back on the scene later on. So that can be kind of a game of a narcissist that you don't want to be caught up in if you recognize that that's what's happening. And even with workplace matters, you may have been disenfranchised or disillusioned by your treatment. Maybe you felt that you got shabby treatment in the way that they handled things if they laid you off before, and you're not really sure that you want to recommit to this situation. What crosses you as the Hangman, this can be a period of limbo, either self-imposed or I always think that it's more likely the outer world that is imposing this, and you feel like you're kind of hanging on. And this is exactly what I'm saying with like work matters. I know that I've always been the type of person who thought that the term laid off meant that the person was on furlough. And it has recently seemed to mean that, but for some people it's a kinder, gentler way of saying fired. And sometimes these things are legalistic. Like I worked in a school district, and I remember the last day and I was a teacher's assistant, but I think we were in a union, so everybody had the same situation. And the last day of school, they gave me a pink slip. And that was my first year there. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And it was just like a legalistic thing, because then they weren't bound to, they weren't forced to hire me. It's just if they needed someone. So it was just a way to cover all their bases. And, so it might be something like that where it's legalistic. But for a Cancer person, you may feel that it's a little bit too tenuous if you're waiting and waiting for something. So you may say, you know what, I can't make that kind of commitment anymore. Maybe in the past you did, but you just don't want to. And same thing with a relationship, because you may feel that it's not going to get any better, and you don't want to keep going through that on again, off again situation, because it keeps your life in this holding pattern instead of moving forward. What's coming in is the Two of Pentacles. I love the colors and the illustration for this particular card. This is about perhaps having two jobs, and it might be like kind of hustling, or it's a temporary situation where you're just kind of doing whatever it takes to pay your bills because you need to, but you don't want to put yourself in a situation that involves other people and what they're doing that suits them but doesn't necessarily suit you. Sometimes the Two of Pentacles can be a job offer from, that's overseas, so it might require relocation even, and perhaps that's something that you're kind of hesitant about, or you really need to think about. So we have another two. So there could be definitely a decision that you are trying to navigate right at this time. With relationship matters, it might be that the other person is seeing two people, that twos and threes can indicate, third-party situations, but perhaps you're doing so. Maybe you're not, you're hedging your bets. You're not necessarily going to just drop everything for this person. And if this is somebody that you're deciding whether or not to commit to, the Five of Swords might either be that this person has shown deception in the past, so it's making you unsure of whether to commit, or that other people around you are either poisoning the well or just kind of like putting their 2 cents in, and you feel like you're getting it from all sides. But whatever is happening, it is making you uncertain about committing to someone. So in some cases, you might say, well, I'm just going to, basically play the field, but at least have another person that you're dealing with. And that might be the best thing of all, because if the Four of Cups really speaks to how you feel right now, that you're not really that into that person for whatever reason, then trying to force things would be a real mistake. Even if that person's basically a good person, if you don't have the same feelings for that person that they have for you, that's not really good for that person, because you might think, oh, well, I'm going to make them happy, but they would be better off with somebody who is as into them as they are into you. The outcome is the Wheel, which is the Wheel of Fortune. And I like how they have this kind of woman in it looks like she's a dress. For some reason, I thought she was wearing like kind of a sports jersey or something. But so the Wheel of Fortune is about the cycles of life. And this is, and in this deck, they have her on the top, because it's like, okay, it's in the upright position. So it's kind of like, and right now it's still Cancer season going into Leo season. And it's like you're aligned, you have inner planets in your sign, you're feeling that sense of yourself really coming up for you, because you've just had your solar return, or you're about to, and the feeling of just everything kind of gelling, or the new cycle that is being started. Yeah, that's a cycle too, the new solar cycle, for sure. And that can put you in a place where you're focusing more on yourself. And maybe sometimes, I'm sure that's true of everybody, that we get caught up in these externals, but then we bring it back to ourselves and we're like, what really matters? And that's when we realize, wow, I have to put more attention back on my needs, instead of trying to make somebody else happy, or to make somebody else have their business run smoothly, when before they didn't seem to take my needs into consideration, but I'm supposed to take theirs into consideration, that kind of thing. And the Wheel of Fortune can be connected to Jupiter. It is connected to Jupiter. So this idea of, it's interesting too, because right now Jupiter is in the 10th house of career. And at the end of this month, Jupiter is going to go retrograde. So that's going to be a time when you might be really rethinking what your values are as it pertains to career matters, and how money plays a point in, or plays a role in that. And you may even get some opportunities coming to you that you could not take advantage of in the past, that are connected to career matters. So if it's something like that, then perhaps that is connected to the Two of Pentacles. Who knows? Okay, Cancer, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings. They're astrology readings. I'm primarily an astrologer, and for people who like the tarot, I have a combination natal chart analysis with a full-length tarot reading, and that's called the Whole Enchilada. And then I have a double tarot, a double astrology reading, chart analysis plus 12 months of transits. And these are double readings, so they're a package deal, so it's a special price. And I have standalone readings as well. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.